Let's set up our employee defaults. Just like in other areas, to set up default information, we come here under Maintain Default Information. Let's come here to Employees. This is the Employees Defaults window. On the General tab, let's begin by setting up some custom fields. Let's set up birthday, and review date, spouse's name, emergency contact, and special. Notice up here, I ran out of space. So let's abbreviate emergency. Next, let's look over here at assigned payroll fields. Very rarely do Peachtree users ever have to come into any one of these three sections. So we're just going to briefly touch on them. Under W-2s, this is where information is going to show up on your W-2, box 2, 4, 6, etc. Over here is box 12. If we have a retirement plan, it'll show up in box 12. By using the Peachtree Payroll Setup Wizard to set up a 401k or retirement plan, this information will be updated automatically. So you will not have to come in here and manually set this up. Let's come into the next one. Employee paid taxes. If your employee pays any state taxes, those are indicated here. Once again, if you subscribe to the Peachtree Payroll Tax Service, this is updated for you automatically. Employer paid taxes. Here, these settings come from the Payroll Setup Wizard. Next, let's go over to pay levels. We can set up to 20 different pay levels for both hourly and salary employees. For example, if we want to have a pay level for bonus, holiday, or over here, we may want to have an hourly rate for people that have to work on holidays versus the holiday we set up for salary employees where they receive paid holidays. Over here, this would be for employees that received an extra rate for working an hourly shift on a holiday. Next, let's look at the employee fields. Here are the GL accounts where amounts will be charged when we run payroll checks. For example, federal income withholding will be credited to federal tax payable on the balance sheet because it is a liability. Let's look down here. State and state disability insurance. The two stars indicate that Peachtree is going to look to the state field here to see which state tax calculation to use. So the state that is here will be the state tax calculation that is used here. Let's look at this adjust button. What this means is that these are amounts that will be included in the calculation. We're going to include the gross wages when calculating federal income taxes. Let's look at another one. Let's come into state income taxes. Same thing here. When we get into setting up a 401k plan, this screen is going to change because amounts for 401k purposes, this changes our payroll tax calculations. Let's look at the Employer Fields tab. Notice here we have both liability and expense accounts, versus here we just had one GL account column. These are all liabilities because these are amounts we are withholding from employees' paychecks, versus employer fields. These are amounts that we're withholding from employees' paychecks, and this also represents expense amounts over here. For example, Social Security and Medicare. We match our employees' contribution to Social Security and Medicare, hence expense amounts here. FUTA and SUTA, these are amounts only the employer incurs. That's why we have both liability and expense amounts here. We also have an adjust button. So this is the employee defaults window. Notice we have not had to make any changes to it because we used the payroll setup wizard. All these amounts were set up for us. The only thing we changed is we added a few pay levels. Let's click OK. Now our employee defaults are set.